Hey guys, welcome back to the Cold Classic Kids show. And wow, it's been a little while since I've been talking about games. I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks now almost. And there just hasn't been a lot to talk about in regards to games. Typically, the end of the year is a little bit on the downs when it comes to video game news or just general discussions. So I decided to put more effort towards things I did find interest in or I thought was more worthy of discussing. I know I got a pretty big influx of new subs, and I just want to say welcome to the channel. I typically talk about entertainment. It's very personalized to what I'm interested in. So the fact that you decided to tune in, subscribe, watch any of my videos, I really am grateful. I'm glad that somebody has interest in some of the same things that I have interest in. Thank you, and I hope that you will find interest in all things I like to talk about. I typically like to talk about games, movies, television, anime. Those are the things I've always enjoyed growing up. So the fact that you're interested as well, that's awesome. Please rock with me. I hope you find interest maybe in some things that you didn't really previously have interest in, but maybe something I said kind of sparked your interest. If that's the case, I think that is so awesome. But we are now definitely talking some gaming news, and this is pretty big. This is a big change for PlayStation. I definitely have some rather controversial things to say about this that some, especially probably some PlayStation fans, are not going to like. But the headline by Bloomberg: PlayStation plans new service to take on Xbox Game Pass. The subscription offers would blend PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. It is codenamed Spartacus. The launch is targeted for next spring. So, guys, this is PlayStation caving. That is just what it is. Let's not sugarcoat it. The market leaders have caved to the market losers. That is crazy to me. Yep, it's just the facts. PlayStation is now playing Xbox's game. That's just what it is. And I know that a lot of PlayStation personalities, a lot of PlayStation fanboys, they're gonna find a way to try to spin this in their favor. But let's be real now, y'all been shit talking Xbox Game Pass for the longest, and now your box is going to follow their path. And I'm definitely gonna be looking at y'all when y'all try to spin this in your favor because it really would show that essentially you're not a fan of games, you're just a fan of a platform. And a lot of y'all that do make content, you're going to side with PlayStation because that's what you've always done. That's what your channel is backed behind. But all that shit talk back then ain't going to make you look good now. I'm just saying. Now, me, when I reviewed my Xbox Series X, because I had gotten it a couple months ago, I said, look, I don't like Xbox Games Pass very much because of my desire to physically collect, because Xbox has so strongly pushed their Games Pass service. They essentially dedicate everything to a subscription service and they do not value their physical existence. That is why I don't really take the platform of Xbox seriously. The only real reason I did get an Xbox, completely honestly speaking, is because the cost of building a PC is completely outlandish in comparison right now. So to me, getting the Xbox and just being done with it and not having to pay more than $500 plus tax was the best option for me personally. And to be fair, I do enjoy Xbox Games Pass. I've said that when I did my review. I still do enjoy it, but it is a normie um subscription service. Services come out to please the normies. They exist to please the general audience. There is nothing hardcore about a subscription service. And to be fair, Xbox's Game Pass service does what it's meant to do. Please normies, but with PlayStation now taking on the subscription service model, no doubt they're going to be pushing this shit. They're going to be pushing it hard. They're going to want to compete with Xbox. Xbox has a very strong head start. So they're going to be pushing that. And with that being said, PlayStation has officially sold out on marketing the PS5 to hardcore gamers. That is a fact. Anybody who denies it is honestly full of shit. I'm just going to tell it to you right now. The PS5 was marketed specifically to hardcore gamers, people that basically have gaming as their lifestyle. That's what I mean by the hardcore gamer base. To me personally, gaming is an important part of my lifestyle. It is my greatest hobby. I've been a huge fan of gaming since I was like 5 years old. And it has, while there have been some highs and lows, it is still a part of me. Now, PlayStation started off with PS5 appealing to hardcore gamers. They have now sold out to the normies, the people that see gaming as simply a fun pastime. And despite being the market leaders of console gaming, developing this service means they've admitted defeat. And why did they admit defeat? Well, the first reason being they do not have the media on their side right now. The media is saying that Games Pass is great. Xbox is the place to game right now. And why is that? Well, basically, the people involved in the media these days are they themselves normies. A lot of these people come out of journalism school, and guess what? they they want a real journalistic job, but they all can't go work for the New York Times. So they end up at IGN or GameSpot or some of these other sites, and yeah, they're a bunch of normies. They aren't even into video games like we are, yet they have such a strong platform to speak on them like they are hardcore gamers when they realistically are not. The second error, which encompasses a bunch of mistakes, is the fact that PlayStation is just extremely greedy with the entire situation regarding the increase in the price of games going from the $60 price tag to the $70 price tag. And motherfuckers who keep saying, "Oh, man, you can't blame PlayStation for that. Look, everyone's doing it. It's third party." Bruh, third party is putting their fucking games on PlayStation's platform. Is PlayStation that weak to where they don't have control of their own platform? Is this the really ignorant argument you're coming with on this situation? PlayStation caved because they themselves are greedy. They get a large portion of every game that is put on their service. That's why we constantly see broken ass games on their platform. We constantly see now $70 price tags on games because that means a bigger portion for them as well. You don't see this price increase on Steam for base games that are a full price. You know why? Because Steam knows their users ain't taking that bullshit. Y'all keep getting console gamers keep being fucked because they allow it. It's really that simple. You're in a controlled space on the PlayStation platform. They have you by the balls. You have no option to go, "Oh, well, I don't like what PlayStation's doing, so I'm gonna go buy from this other storefront." No, your only option is to buy physically. And not to be like the bearer of bad news, but the entire subscription service model completely is its very existence is to try and depreciate and eventually eliminate the physical medium, period. Remember at the end of those PS3 commercials, I believe it was just the PS3 era, where at the end of a PlayStation commercial, you'd hear that guy say, "PlayStation, power to the players." PlayStation's true slogan, if you want to be genuine about your sloganeering for this generation, should be "no power to the players." Because realistically, they want to remove the buying power of the consumer. They want to give you the concept or the basic idea that you have power, but really they want you to have no power at all. That's just the sad reality of it. They're obviously not so bold as to go the Xbox One route where Microsoft announced the Xbox One and all the DRM shit. They aren't stupid enough to go that route. But this is the slow degradation of gamers' power in the industry. But damn, that was kind of crazy little rant. But let's just get into the details to see what we know so far. Sony Group Corp's PlayStation division is planning a new subscription service to compete with rival Microsoft Corp's popular Xbox Game Pass, according to people familiar with Sony's plans and documents reviewed by Bloomberg. The service codenamed Spartacus will allow PlayStation owners to pay a monthly fee to access a catalog of modern and classic games, said the people who asked not to be identified because they weren't authorized to speak to the press about the plans. The offering will likely be available on the smash hit PS4, which has sold more than 16 million units, and its elusive successor, the PlayStation 5, which launched more than a year ago but is still difficult to buy due to supply chain issues. Say what you want about Jason Schreier, he is a little baby, he still clearly wears diapers by the way he blocks everyone on Twitter for even a minute disagreement, but the dude no doubt has insider knowledge when he does write articles like these, making these bold proclamations. Obviously, he does have insider knowledge. I do take his word for this, essentially. When it launches, expected in the spring, the service will merge Sony's two existing subscription plans, PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. Currently, PlayStation Plus is required for most online multiplayer games and offers free monthly titles, while PlayStation Now allows users to stream or download older games. Documents reviewed by Bloomberg suggest that PlayStation plans to retain the PlayStation Plus branding but phase out PlayStation Now. Now, two things can certainly be true at once. I do not like the Games Pass model being the premier thing for a company to strive to grow. I really don't like that. But at the same time, when it comes to PS Plus, it does not justify its existence. It is a terrible service. Every month is just a huge disappointment, if it be because they just throw out trash ass games or or if it be because what games they do put out, most of us already own. Like, in that sense, it doesn't justify its existence. The fact that it is tied to being allowed to play online, it is a paywall. That is the main reason why people pay for this service. To remove the paywall to play the games that they pay for. We pay for these online games. Some of them are online only. So you pay that initial price, some of them full price, and then you still have to pay for PS Plus as a service. Complete dumpster fire garbage, in my opinion. And PlayStation Now has not been really growing very much. I mean, it's a whatever service. To me, it doesn't make sense because I own so many PlayStation games that I could play whatever I want essentially. Whereas for someone else who's just getting started on the platform, I can kind of see why they'd get PlayStation Now because they don't really have much of a library. So I kind of understand, but it just doesn't appeal like Xbox Game Pass appeals. Maybe I think it's mostly because of PlayStation's marketing. It's not the same as Xbox Game Pass, obviously, but these services don't really justify their own existence. I think at some point, PlayStation was going to have to address the fact that their two subscription services do not justify their own existence. I was just hoping that they would do it the right way instead of copying Xbox. And instead of admitting their failures, their blunders, and making it better for the gamers, instead, it's kind of like, well, we're not going to admit our faults. Instead, we're going to circumvent them into a different model or service, which is essentially what Xbox did. Xbox never really admitted its failure with the Xbox One when they first announced it, and then for those few years in which they got no traction at all because the games just weren't there. They instead said, look, we're launching something new, didn't admit to any fault. They kind of just went to the next thing. Whereas PlayStation with the PS3, they clearly fucked up. Like, they admitted all their failure and promised to make it better, and it took them some time, but they admitted their faults and chose to do the right thing. And they fixed their platform essentially. Their platform was in the shitter completely. And now PlayStation, they're choosing to go the Xbox route, not admitting failure and just circumventing their failure into something new. And I know some people are obviously going to be like, well, Cage, what are you complaining about? It's like nothing can please you. What would you rather have instead? What I want is fairly simple. I don't know why people want to make it so complicated. But number one, what I want is for PlayStation to rescind their online paywall because it was never right to begin with. PlayStation likes to just follow Nintendo and Xbox whenever it's convenient for them. They only did it because Xbox had been doing it for years. And of course, losers are like, well, PlayStation needs it to keep their online going, the thing that you use. Well, guess what? On PC, guess what? The developers do that shit all themselves. So we'd have the same thing, except we wouldn't have to pay for it. It'd be involved in the actual purchase of the game itself. People who only play on console don't really understand this because they're basically used to being essentially in a enclosed space. That's what PlayStation wants, to keep you in their enclosed space, to have more control over you as a consumer, as cattle. The second thing I want is for PlayStation to give me a good variety of exclusive games that they've made that are worth their price point. Returnal to me is not worth the $70 price point. The reason why it's $70 is because PlayStation had to justify not putting it on the PS4 for whatever reason. They say, "Oh, because this game can't run on a PS4. No way. So we have to increase the price to justify it." Because they're going to miss out on all that extra cash from that huge user base on the PS4. But honestly, I think that if they really wanted to put it on PS4, they could have. They just wanted to look at its peak. And honestly, I do like the fact the game does look great, but I still haven't purchased it because to me, when you look at a roguelite game, they essentially take the concept of replay value, take the word value out of it, and then make replay the entire premise of the game. Replaying a roguelite multiple times until you do manage to beat it is the core mechanic of the game itself. These types of games are smaller in scale. Now, given this is a nicer looking version of a small scale game and it has, voice acting and I'm assuming motion capture, like they did go all out. So you figure $25 gameplay, double the price for the hired voice acting, motion capture, like odd stuff. You double the price, 50 bucks. That's all I could justify. It's not a $70 game. And the fact that it's now been out for a while, I just don't see myself getting it until it's like 30 bucks. That's for me personally. I'm kind of over like the little hype I did have for the game. Now, if they would have put Sigourney Weaver as the main protagonist, have her voice act and use her likeness in the game, I would have paid the 70. I'm a sucker. I would have definitely paid the 70. Obviously someone of that caliber, they would have definitely had to put out some money to get Sigourney Weaver in the game, but hey man, they cheaped out having someone that I don't care about in the game. So, hey, to me it's not worth the $70 price tag. Basically, PlayStation is being smarter about not being consumer friendly than they were during the PS3 era early on. And it really is showing they're being slick. And I can't blame them for trying, but at the end of the day, I'm not happy with them. And this is coming as someone who primarily collects for PlayStation. I love the PlayStation platform. I'm like one of those people, I'll go anywhere to play any game, but to be honest with you, I spend most of my time on my PS5. I really do. And it's sad that I have to shit talk PlayStation, but the reason why I do is because I'm so heavily invested in the platform. I want it to be better. Basically, I'm just not a shill. Like, that's really what it is. To me, last gen, the PS4, despite its flaws, was like the closest to a console gaming utopia. Now, console gaming utopia is not possible. It just isn't. But I think that in comparison to Nintendo and Xbox at the time last gen, they were the closest to it. And I really do love the PS5 for what it does. I demanded 60 FPS. I said that's what'll keep me console gaming. And for the most part, with just about every game I've played that's new, they've given me that. Clearly, a really good system for what it does, a genuine upgrade from the PS4. But everything else in regards to marketing, just PlayStation's approach to next gen has been very lackluster and poor to me. Details on Spartacus may not be finalized, but documentation reviewed by Bloomberg outlines a service with 3 tiers. The first would include existing PlayStation Plus benefits. The second would offer a large catalog of PS4, eventually PS5 games. The third tier would add extended demos, game streaming, and a library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games. A representative from PlayStation didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Although the PlayStation has outsold the Xbox in recent years, Sony has lagged behind Microsoft on the subscription front. With the new structure, Sony will look to compete with an Xbox feature that has been popular and lucrative. Is it really lucrative though? Um, Microsoft's Game Pass, which is often dubbed the Netflix of video games, has more than 18 million subscribers. It allows users to pay $10 to $15 a month for unlimited access to several hundred games. Xbox has built its overall strategy around the service in recent years, putting all of its internally published games on Game Pass as soon as they're released. Xbox has also made big acquisitions such as Bethesda Softworks last year for $7.5 billion. With the goal of bolstering the Game Pass library, Sony is also putting resources into expanding its efforts in cloud gaming. The people familiar with the plans said Microsoft's xCloud game streaming service became widely available early this year. So for me, since I love retro gaming and would love the most immediate ways to play those games, it would be cool to definitely play PS1, 2, 3, and PSP games on my PS5. I really would love that as long as I could download it and play it natively instead of the whole streaming shit. Fuck out of here with that. Like, y'all are gonna have to do some ports because I'm not playing streaming a cloud service for these games. So theoretically, I would technically have to pay for the third tier. So is it gonna be $15 a month? Ugh, it's so disgusting to think about. It's already expensive as shit. I mean, personally, I don't pay full price for PS Plus, so yeah, and I kind of go toward the gray market for it because I can't. I'd rather give the money to a complete stranger than giving PlayStation the money for their service that essentially paywalls something that I should be given for free. Look, guys, I don't think it's all necessarily bad, but in terms of physical media, in terms of having power as a consumer, the subscription service model does take a lot of power away from the consumer. I mean, unfortunately, there's just a lot of uninformed people out there. Like, for example, with the whole Netflix situation with Cuties. When they released that movie, I immediately unsubbed. It was disgusting that they even thought that was remotely acceptable. And to be fair, there was a lot of other people that did also unsub because that is absolutely egregious to put it out there that it's okay for little kids to sexualize themselves. It's never okay to even promote that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of people that did unsub, but there's still millions upon millions of subscribers to Netflix that don't even understand the situation going on. They just go about their day-to-day life. The subscription service model is just a failsafe. That's all it is. And honestly, when a company chooses to be dick faces, they should suffer the consequences of their actions. And guys, if you can, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me over on Twitter if you want to continue the conversation. With all that being said, guys, I'm out. Peace.